Y'all, they are not coming to play with Snowfall already. They are not coming to play, y'all. This is my first time actually reviewing a Snowfall, so please bear with me. This is a longer show, way longer than Abbott Elementary. But I love this show. I've been watching it since season 1. This is the final season, and this recap is gonna be about Snowfall season 6, the final season, episode 1, and it is entitled Fallout. So y'all, let's jump into this video. Alright, y'all, so the video opens up basically as usual. It gives us a timeline of when these events in the show are taking place, and clearly it's around the Ronald Reagan presidency, because we saw Nancy Reagan talking about the drug epidemic. We saw you know, a lot of things happening in the neighborhood with the war on drugs and her no drug or stop the drug or say no to drug campaign, all of that stuff. So we first see this little girl who's sitting on the porch. She's crying, she's upset. Some man, I'm guessing her grandfather maybe, came up to her, asked her why she was crying, and she let him know that her father never came home. So then we jump to a crime scene, and Louie and Jerome and some of the people that they hang with, they're there. They got police, they got the tape up and everything. So the man runs out the car, tells the little girl to sit in the car, and but she doesn't listen. She goes and she realizes that the person that was murdered there was her dad, because she saw the bracelet that she made for him with her name on it on his wrist. And it just gave us, like I said, a visual of all of the things that were happening due to gang violence and drugs and all these other things happening around that time. And which, I mean, we're not too far from that now, because there's still a lot of violence going on within our community, y'all. But again, this show is everything. So let's hop into it. So we first see that Franklin, well, we know that Franklin's stash house was robbed last season, and he cannot recover the money that was stolen from him. Teddy, the undercover CIA person, he stole money from him, I believe. He froze his accounts and all of that stuff, so he can't get any money. So he was talking to his fiance about that while they were riding in the car, and you know that he had said that he wanted to get out of the game, but he's, again, of course, he's in it because he's like, I got to get my money up. And, you know, he was working with his Aunt Louie and his Uncle Jerome, but then Louie got a little bit money hungry and went behind his back and started messing with his plug. And so, you know, they got into it. He pulled a gun out on her and all of that stuff. And so the girlfriend, well, not the girlfriend, the baby mama, the fiance, V, was like, how you plan on, you know, getting back? How you plan on getting your money back? How you plan on starting over? So he takes her to this new stash house and he's wanting her, or explain to her that he wants her to work with him to put it in a bank account. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And he's just like, well, why not? Like, you're my girl. Like, I need your help, you know, trying to convince her of all of these things. And she's like, no, you said that, you know, you don't want to do this no more, and I don't want to live that life. And so she was just like, she told him, no, like, I didn't come here for this. I don't want to be that person anymore. And then we jump to Teddy, who is still tripping because Nurse Girl, and we're going to call her Nurse Girl because I don't know her name, went missing last season, and he doesn't know where she is, doesn't know who took her. And throughout this entire first episode, he is like adamant about finding her before he does anything else, because, you know, they had a little thing going on, and whatever it was that they were doing last season, you know, somebody came and snatched her up. So he went to go and talk to these people. I believe they broke into somebody's house, or tried to break into somebody's house, and the person's house that they broke into, Teddy went to, you know, basically, like, I guess you could say, apologize in a way, and then ask for his help. But of course he was like, I'm not helping you, bro, so get out of my face. And so we also saw last season where Gustavo was pulled over by the police at the storage place, at the little storage unit. And so, you know, I'm thinking everything's over, it's over. But no, he pops up at home and everybody's happy to see him. And I was just like, wow, so he didn't get locked up. That's crazy. And then Jerome and Louie, they walk into their stash house. They realize that everything is just wiped out, and they truly believe that Franklin did it. Franklin already knew about it, did not tell them. He believes that Peaches did it, who used to work for them, but then he got on drugs. So I guess we're gonna see how this gonna go, y'all. So as Louis and Jerome are trying to figure out how this $3.4 million was gone, I believe that's what they said, and they think that Franklin took it. They're trying to figure out how that they can handle the business, and due to the frozen accounts and due to, just they're trying to come up with a plan to get all their money back and figure out, where to start. And so at this time, Jerome, who was Franklin's uncle, he pages him, and Franklin's in a car with his two hitters, Dallas and Bev, and the females. And he doesn't respond right away. So then we jump to Mama Saint, who is talking to the guy that she hired, I believe, to kill Teddy. And, he's like, the longer we wait, the longer it's not going to happen. Like, we need to get on board. You need to get your son on board. I want to meet with him. And she's just, like, looking all over the place like she don't know what to do. Okay, so Franklin goes with, like I said, his two female hitters. And he meets up with another drug dealer named D. And he's basically asking him, like, who his plug is and all of that stuff. And he realizes that it's Jerome, his uncle. And so he's like, I want to be your plug, like be my plug, but for a little bit less than what Rome is giving you. And just to think about it and think on it. And he's like, I ain't trying to get in between the family and all that stuff. And he was just like, just think about it, bro. Just think about it. And then he also mentioned Leon, who we all know took Gail Bean's character. I can't think of her name at the moment. They went to Africa. So he's out of the game. But before that, he kept telling everybody that Franklin was getting out of the game because that's what he said. And so when he popped up on D was very surprised. He was like, I thought you weren't moving away no more. I thought you was at the game. And he was like, nah, I'm back in. It is what it is. So he's just like, again, think about it. I want to be your plug. Just know it's business. It's not personal. So then we see that Gustavo and Teddy, they link up. And they discuss their problems, like what's going on. He lets them know about Nurse Girl and all these other things. And again, like I said, he doesn't know who took her. And then Franklin meets with one of Kane's peoples in the hospital to again ask them who their plug is. And the guy was like, this is not the time. And I don't know why you in here when your people, Jerome and Louis, are the reason why Kane's in her in this hospital anyway, laid up. And so he's just like, I know, if you want to get back at them, you got to hit their pockets. You got to hit their business. And he's like, just think on it. Just think on it. Let me be your plug. So after all of that, Louis meets up with Teddy and, lets him know that they were robbed by Franklin, and he looked so surprised. And then she mentioned the frozen accounts. Now, like I said, I believe, and I may have to go back and watch it, but last season, I believe that Teddy took the money out of the account. So that is why in this particular scene, Teddy was kind of like, ugh, like, I can't really tell you what happened. And I'm gonna let y'all believe that it was all Franklin. And then he even asked, like, okay, so what's gonna happen between you and your nephew? And she was just like, she don't know. And so Franklin goes back to the office after having this little day out with the girls. And his fiance is basically pissed because she's like, bro, I told you that I want to get out the game. Like, I'm pregnant. We were supposed to be getting married. And I don't want to live this life. I don't want this life. And Franklin is just basically trying to convince her to work with him because, he wants to survive. Like he said, he wants to do what he needs to do to get money and keep it and get his money back up. And so, and like I said, he's just doing all of this, trying to convince her and talking her down and just letting her know, like, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, even if I got to be back in the game for a little while, so don't be pissed. Like, it's going to be all right. In the day, we see that Jerome meets up with D, and D fills him in on what Franklin offered him and let him know, like, hey, I really want to work with you. I want to work with you, but if you can't get what Franklin's giving me, it's a wrap. And like he told him, it ain't personal, it's business. And y'all, Jerome looks so shook because he's like, I've been looking like I've been trying to contact my nephew all day. He ain't paging me back. He ain't talking to me. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. He done stole all this money from us. And now he's trying to steal what, you know, my plugs too. Like, the people that I plug, like, that's crazy. So, like I said, he looks super shook. And then we see that Teddy meets with another guy from the CIA, and he also fills him in on everything that's going on, and just lets him know, like, I'm not doing nothing until I find Nurse Girl. He's, like I said, this entire episode was dedicated to finding Nurse Girl. And yes, I'm going to call her Nurse Girl because, like I said, I don't know her name. So later that night, Franklin is out with at the airport, and here comes V. She's got a different wig on. She's dressed different. And he's like, V, like, what you doing? She's like, I'm here for my man. Like, I'm here. I'm about to go to Miami and deposit this money, this stolen drug money in bank accounts. And he was just elated, talk about, oh, I love you, and all some other stuff. And I was like, yeah, and then you love her because she's doing something for you. She finally said yes. And she's like, yeah, I know you love me. I know you do. And she walks off and gets on the plane, headed towards Miami. And at that point, everything is everything, I believe, for Franklin. And I was like, okay, V, you down the ride to the very end with your man. I don't think I would have been able to do it because I'm not going to jail for nobody. And I believe the money that they wanted to put in the bank was $1.85 million. So, yeah, she was traveling with a lot of money. And he told her to be careful with that. So then we jump to Louie's office. And they're meeting up with Buckley, I believe. The man that was the Los Angeles cop. And they're talking about basically his job with Louie and Jerome as far as keeping the cops off their back. And then he's filling them in on all the things that they plan on doing. And they want him to do right. They don't want him to be on drugs no more. They want them to do what he was hired to do for them, which is to be their ear to the streets, to be the one that got their back as far as when it comes to the cops and, you know, the people that he's close to allow them to move in the city a lot different. Sorry, y'all. So then, finally, during this little meeting, Franklin calls Jerome back and gets on the phone, and Jerome's like, I need to see you. Like, where you at? He lets him know, like, hey, bro, ain't no letting up. I'm not letting up on what I'm doing because I tried to do right by coming to y'all and working with y'all, but Louie, you was too greedy. Rome, your wife was doing too much, and so I'm not letting up. I'm going to continue to do what I want to do. If y'all want to come for me, y'all can come for me. And because, like I said, it's personal now. And Louie tells Jerome after that conversation, which I already knew she was going to do, that he pulled the gun out on her at their last encounter. So that just sparked something in Jerome because, you know, he does not play about his Louie. And he was like, oh, so he want to pull guns? Okay, like, it's really on now. It's really on now. And like she said, I know that you told me that you don't want to go to war with your family, but I'm letting you know who you dealing with because he did say he would kill me. And, you know, this means war. And Jerome was about that action. Later on down the line, Teddy gets a call. We don't know who it's from, but he ends up going to a police station and he's looking for somebody named Detective Browser. And at this time, he's walking around, you know, the precinct looking for people. And then he ends up looking through this gate to the cell. And lo and behold, there is Nurse Girl. And she's just laying down on a bench. And she's just like, what took you so long? And he's happy, like really happy that he found her finally. So she was safe and sound in the jail this whole entire time. And then Gustavo goes to meet with the people from the people that he works for, like I guess you can call them the informant squad. I don't know. He goes and talks to them. And then Franklin and Mama Saint, they finally meet up, and she's basically talking about Teddy and how she wants to destroy him because he's just trying to destroy her life because she believes that he has something to do with the death or the disappearance of her husband while they were in Cuba, and saying, you know, he only let me live because he knows that that's something like that basically hurt me, and I don't have no I don't have no ties or anything to him. So basically, like, she's gun-ho about getting him back and killing him. And she asks Franklin point blank, like, are you with me or are you with them? Because, again, I'm gonna keep on saying it. It ain't personal. It's business. And she's just like, this one right here, though, is not business. It's personal. I want him gone. So either you with me or you not. And then Franklin was sitting there soaking in the conversation and was just like, tell him to meet me tomorrow. I'll meet up with him tomorrow. We'll discuss this tomorrow. And then he leaves. So later on that night, the girls are meeting up with D to make a drop. So they meet up with Franklin first. They have their kids in the car. And I was just like, oh my gosh, kids do not need to be seeing this type of activity. They do not need to be seeing this type of activity, y'all. That's crazy. So they meet up with Franklin. They get the stuff. They put it in their trunk. He leaves. They go and they meet up with D and his crew. And the whole time, D is flirting, trying to see who's going to let him hit, all this other stuff. Just being a guy. Being a guy. And so they was like talking smack back to him or whatever. They get the stuff. They put it in the trunk. D and them put it in the trunk and then they drive off. The whole time they're driving, Bev and Dallas are talking about people who they would have sex with and all that stuff, and how Dallas wants to have sex with Franklin, and the Bev was just like, girl, that's our boss. And she was like, I don't care. I do not care. And I was just like, let's not be messy. Let's not be messy. He has a whole fiance and she's pregnant. And that's exactly what Bev said. So while they're talking, lo and behold, boom, they get pulled over by the police. And I don't know if y'all noticed it, but I noticed off top that it was 4 people in that car. And I was like, what's going on? This is a setup. It gotta be a setup. And y'all, it most definitely was a freaking setup. So cops come out, these 2 white guys, and they're telling them to get out the car. They got the guns drawn, and they're like, we ain't got to get out the car. You ain't told us nothing that we did or the reason why we got pulled over. And then all of a sudden you hear Buckley's voice, and he's like, no, get out the car. And they was like, you're not even a cop no more. Like, what you doing here? And he was like, get out the car. Pop the trunk. I want to see what's in the trunk. So he looks in the trunk. He don't grab nothing, I don't believe. But all of a sudden, when he walks away from the trunk, out comes Jerome from the back seat of the cop car. And these 2 white dudes still have their guns drawn. It's a crowd outside. And he's just like, where's Franklin? And they was like, I don't know. Where's my money? Where's the stash? And they're like, we don't know. He hasn't told us anything. We don't even know anything about it. So, y'all, why does Jerome get the gun and starts pistol whipping the crap out of Bev? I mean, because he thinks they're lying, trying to keep things a secret. And he's like, he's frustrated already. Franklin done put a gun out on his wife. They lost all their money. They lost their stash of drugs. And he's like, I know Franklin did this, and because y'all work for him, I'm going to make y'all an example. So he was pistol whipping the crap out of her, and the whole time, the cops is holding Dallas back, and she's like, we don't know. She's telling you the truth. We don't know. And then Jerome ain't paying. He's just mad, and he turns around and he looks at her, and he sees that she's being genuine because she got tears falling down. She's like, we don't know. Please stop. Like, she has kids. Like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. And so then he's like, he walks up to Dallas and gets in her face and is like, you tell Franklin that I did this. I want you to know, I want him to know that I did it, and you better tell him, and I want my money. Tell him I want my money. Like, he's just going off. And so then they let him go. They get in the car, and then Dallas runs over to Bev. She's laid out on the ground. She's asking people to call the police. Everybody's looking crazy. Everybody's looking shocked. And all of a sudden, the camera pans down to Bev, and the homegirl is just beat black and blue, blood everywhere, and Dallas is like screaming and hollering, telling her to get up, but she's not waking up. And I was like, oh my gosh, is she dead? Do y'all think she's dead? I hope not. I really, really hope not. And that was it, y'all. That was my quick rundown of the show. I had to watch it on Hulu because I missed it last night, y'all. I've been in the hospital. I had surgery, so pray for your girl. But anyways, I'm about to go over here and watch part 2. So I will be back with the 2nd episode of season 6, the final season of Snowfall. So make sure y'all come back for number 2, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.